This was a very, very good episode of Yoru no Yatterman. They definitely improved the tone shifts in this episode. I just wanted to clarify that real quick. In this episode, the tone shifts were a lot better than the previous episode. And with this episode, I like the contrast of the way they did it with the Yatterman and, the bonsai Yatterman. I mean, you see the girl crying because her husband is leaving her. So those tone shifts, that was good. It looks like they adjusted the tone shifts quite a bit in this episode, and it flowed a lot better. This episode had some really, really good tone shifts. That's something I just want to start off with when it comes to this review, because that was one of the main problems with last week's episode, and with this episode, majority of it is slightly fixed. So, here's the thing. With this episode of Yoru no Yatterman, it's clear as day of what this episode is really trying to make us as the viewer perceive. For instance, the Yatterman, they are like a tyrant. They have tyranny over the entire people of the land, pretty much. Everybody is being, ruled by this tyrant, the Yatterman, and they can't do nothing against the Yatterman at all. Like, if a Yatterman pops up at your door and says, oh, you have 35 years of hard labor, you must go work at, like, a factory or something for 35 plus years, you have to do it. You can't just say, like, I don't want to do it. I have a wife, that's about to have a child. I'm about to have my own child in maybe a couple of days. No, you can't do that. You have to follow what the Yatterman do. So pretty much there is like a tyrant over them, a dictator, and it's kind of fucked up when you start thinking about it like that. But the main thing this episode wants us to see, I think, as a viewer, is that the Yatterman need to be stopped. They need to be, like fixed, or like this entire kingdom needs to be fixed, because they're clearly They're destroying lives. That's what they are doing. Like in this episode, a poor innocent child is probably gonna have to grow up by himself and never know his father's face, or never know his father at all. And that is what this episode tries to show us. So, with this episode, we have a motive for our characters. Like, Doranjo, our main female character, that's going to the Yatterman Kingdom and give him a forehead flicking in her words alone. Pretty much, now we have a motive. Like, the Yatterman are making everybody live in a world of hell, like a living hell. And so, this needs to be fixed, and that is the motive that is being set up with this episode, in these past couple episodes, and I'm really liking it. I'm really liking the aspect of this, and with this episode, I don't know if it was just me, but the way the mech scene was handled in this episode, it reminded me a lot of Gurren Lagann. If anyone remembers that series, most likely do, but if anyone remembers that series, the mech scene with the monkey and all that really reminded me of that series. I'm like, oh, shit. Now, I'm gonna say, animation for the most part was a massive improvement when it came to this episode. Like, the animation was a lot better than last week. Like, I didn't mention it much, but the animation was kind of lacking last week. And with this episode, the animation was pretty damn good. I mean, it wasn't the best, but I like the art style they used in this episode. Like, there was a couple scenes that really looked good, especially with that fight. I mean, it's a little bit jarring with that fight scene because the art style slightly changed there, but I felt like for the most part, the animation was pretty good when it came to this episode. Music-wise, I love the music and the way they used it with the Yatterman, praising bonsai and stuff. That music right there, fucking amazing. I loved it. So, episode of Yoru no Yatterman. I mean, the episode is really, really simple. You have it to where this couple gets introduced with this episode. The wife is about to have a child. Her husband is being forced to go work in the Yatterman Kingdom against his will, and he turns against, our main characters to try to save his wife and his child and himself for they can live a happy life, which I can't really put the man down for doing something like that. I mean, at the end of the day, he has a child, and he needs to worry about his child, and he wants to be able to see his child, and so I can't really put the man down for actually turning over and trying to turn in our main characters to the Yatterman Kingdom. I can't really do that. But I will have to say is it's kind of sad the way this episode ended off of, because it did leave us on a sad ending. I mean, the man still got drug off to the factory, whatever, and he has to work there in hard labor for 35 plus years, and the wife has to go on her journey with her child, and her child, is going to grow up fatherless. So that's what this episode does. So tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I love y'all so much. You have a wonderful day or not, wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.